Up until I was 18, I was basically living life in survival mode and autopilot, which meant that I was listening to other people's opinions, expectations, and judgments. And based on that perception, I would form my opinions, beliefs, or follow certain activities to fit into that ideal. Have you ever had a time like that before where you're pretty much just listening to everything that's around you, but internally you feel weird, like you feel a little off because you're like, is this really what I want to do? And if you haven't experienced something like that before, or if you just haven't thought about it before, I hope you're thinking about it now, because in today's video, I want to talk about how to truly get in touch with your inner self so you can decipher and separate internally what are the core values, what are the beliefs that are truly yours versus what was put in there by other people. Because the truth is that when we're kids and when we are coming into this world, we don't know, we only know certain instinctive inclinations. And in my head, that's like elevated emotions, like feeling joy and pursuing passion and not having fear of failure or things like that. Specifically, like you see that in kids. But as we grow up, as we go through the school system, the education system, we, and now social media, a big part of it, we absorb other people's ideas and beliefs and we start to think that they are our own. And then we start to live life to abide by those ideas and beliefs. Like I said, up until I was 18, that's kind of how I was living life. But over the past 6 years, almost seven, I've turned that around and I've come to understand what it is that I believe, what are my values versus what was put in there by other people, and how to actually take the actions that align with my core ideals and pursue the life that I want to create for myself and for my future self. My name is Ishaan and welcome to the video. We are in a new setting. It's because I'm back home in New Jersey at my parents' house because first semester of graduate school is done, which is crazy. And I'm back home for the break, so this is going to be the setting for the next few videos. Today I want to talk about how you can truly get in touch with your inner self so you can decipher what are your beliefs versus what did you pick up from other people, so that you can improve your life and find the validation, contentment, and the love that you're seeking, and figuring out what it is that you really want to pursue for work or for your passion or in school. There's two aspects to this, or so I think right now. There's two different sides. And in this video, I want to cover the first side, which is limiting external input. We live in a world now where we have social media, which is constantly bombarding content at us in all sorts of forms: shorts, long form content, hyper edited videos. Like, you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy that they can keep our attention hooked to the phone and that we keep on scrolling. I fall for it too. Obviously, I'm fucking human. It happens. But there's strategies to that, which we'll get into later. Social media is a big thing that is externally inputting thoughts and ideas in your head. And when we're consuming so much during the day, like, we're bound to believe certain things more than others based on what we saw. Second, family, of course. Growing up in a brown family specifically, there's not just from your parents, but like also relatives, you have certain pressures or expectations that you have to do good in school. Like, your education is important. Education is a privilege. It's considered like a top thing in India, where education, not everyone has access to education. So if you do and you're from a good family where you can afford private schools, like, it's expected that you're gonna do good, or you're gonna try your best to do good, or otherwise you're gonna get a little judged. But I can talk about that in a different video. So family is a big source of external input as well, and a lot of the times brown families have trauma from from like generations, dude, because we only gained independence like about like less than 100 years ago. So as a developing nation in that sense, and going through generations of trauma, like it's something that brown people do hold on to certain ideas and beliefs really hard, and they try to instill that in their children and families as well. I'm not saying my parents did this or are doing this. Just to clarify, I'm just saying, in a generalization, that is something that brown families, you'll see that as a common trend. Next external input is, of course, friends, teachers, societal norms, people that you see on a daily basis, because you have to go to school, in at least like high school and middle school, if not beyond that. And you have to listen to them. You have, to a certain extent, if you want to fit into your social, if you want to have a social belonging in school, then you need to find people who are like-minded or like think the same way. And if you're like me, if you were like me in high school and pre-high school, then I was someone who always wanted to hang around with the popular kids, because I was like, oh my god, like I'm gonna get social clout, like it's gonna be good for me, blah blah blah, all those things. And we're all looking for that external validation, especially when we're young. If you're not getting it from close friends or meaningful relationships, like that is something that one would seek, or I seek in my case. Let's just, yeah, actually, let me not generalize everything. Let me just talk about my experience. That's what I mostly do. So in terms of social belonging, you might I used to act a certain way. I used to follow certain hobbies, certain activities, because I thought it would help me fit in with my friend group. And then there's teachers. I was someone who was academically always focused, because education was instilled in me, and honestly, that is my personal ideal as well. And it's something I do believe in, that education is a privilege, and since everyone doesn't get access to it, it's something that you shouldn't take lightly if you have access to knowledge and things that you can utilize and develop a skill set to better yourself as an individual. Genuinely believe that, otherwise I wouldn't be here now. And that meant that I also wanted to be like a good kid in class type shit. Not in all classes though, I will say, because some it depended if I liked my professor or my teachers or not. Because if I didn't, I was a fucking menace, bro. Like it was crazy. Topic for another video. Freshman year of high school, my mom would like get so many complaints from one of my teachers. It was crazy. Anyways, so personal experience, I began my self-improvement journey, like I said, in 2018, because I was battling a lot of inner conflict, because I just felt like there's something in my life that's missing, and I couldn't figure out what it was. At the same time, I was falling under the social influence of wanting to pursue girls, because that's what that was like the main thing for guys at the time. And then with those goals in mind, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, starting to learn how to better myself as an individual or as a man, which meant starting out at the gym. So that definitely started off with that, and then started to figure out, okay, like in the future, what kind of things do I want to do when I go to college? Like I need to make sure that I do well, focus on my thing, because I want to get a good job afterwards, and also just taking care of my physical appearance and physical self, which the gym did, but also skincare routines and things like that as well. So those were valuable things that I learned from YouTubers during the past 6 years. But I will say, and this goes back to the external input, since I was watching so many videos and consuming so much information, I slowly started to subscribe to certain ideas that were definitely not mine, and they were the YouTubers. And one of my biggest one was that pursuing as many women as possible was something that was going to bring me happiness, and I thought that was going to be like the piece to the puzzle, that internally what I was feeling would fulfill that. But eventually that I don't talk about this much on on the camera, but that part of my life, honestly, like that path left me feeling more emptier than that's not more emptier is crazy. It left me emptier than before. yeah, that that's all I'll say on that part for now. But another experience I wanted to mention was joining activities in high school because others were doing it. Like I said, to belong in a social group, you sometimes act a certain way or do certain things, so you're able to have a friend group and do things with them, which I think to a certain extent it is good because as humans we need communities to survive and thrive, and we need the social relationships. Like we need friends, meaningful ones. But a lot of the times in high school, I ended up doing activities like joining certain teams and such because my friends were doing it or because I thought it was cool and it was going to give me social clout. It's all honestly like a cycle. It keeps coming back to the main core one or two things of seeking external validation because I wasn't giving it to myself. That really was the core of it. But when there's so much external input, it was so difficult to decipher, what's my voice versus what's in my head. So let's talk about how to actually battle this and strategies to reduce this external noise. So no bullshit strategies. These are things that I've actually worked on and things that have truly helped me come to a place where I know what my values are and I don't let external ideas or the idea of social cloud sway me in certain directions. And in that way you have to be stern and unwavering, where you have you form opinions and beliefs based on information that you receive. You think about it critically, analyze it, and then you come to a conclusion as to what it is that you're going to believe. Could make a whole separate video on this, but anyways, let's just fucking talk about the strategies, bro. I don't know why I'm like stressing so much today. First, limiting social media. Of course, this shouldn't come as a surprise. Social media is the main form of information that we consume on a daily basis as humans now. And one of the easiest ways to reduce external input is to just spend less time on social media. So that's one of those. But you can also take a different approach, which I would say that is a good strategy. You should always aim to have like a certain limit of screen time on your apps. And of course, some days you are gonna go over that limit, which is fine. It's part of being human. I make the same mistakes. Like I do that. I have a 30-minute Instagram limit, but sometimes I pop that over, and it's so easy to be like, oh, ignore limit for today. But at the end of the day, as long as you're introducing some sort of friction or barrier, it gives you a second to think. In your mind, you're like, do I really want to keep scrolling? Or it does to me, and with time hopefully it will do for you as well. So make sure that right now you go into your settings, designate a specific amount of time for each of your apps that you scroll on, and that way you're limiting that external input from social media. On the note of social media, the next strategy is to be mindful of what content it is that you're consuming. Bro, I'm gonna just give you some real shit right now. If you're a man, you gotta go in there and unfollow any sort of like OnlyFans, like models or these kinds of women, bro. Like I could make a whole video on that, but it's not gonna do you any good. It's taking away time from your purpose. It's introducing lustful thoughts in your mind, which is controlling you and your urges. But as a man, you should be able to you should have full control on yourself, and you should be able to feel the emotions and observe them, but that doesn't mean you have to act on certain things. But like I said, that's a topic for a different video. Mindful consumption also means that you follow people whose ideas, beliefs, and actions you are inspired by, and you're like, this is the kind of life that I want to emulate, and this is the kind of life that I want to build for myself. But you have to keep in mind that social media is also not reality, so you can't go off of what people are posting. But nonetheless, for me, mindful consumption looks like following certain pages and certain people that instill knowledge in me. So something that's rooted in scientific facts and studies. Andrew Huberman, for instance, is a great example of this. Lex Friedman as well. And then I also follow like random pages that post about spirituality and mindfulness or meditation tips, like things like that. So you can always, that's part of mindful consumption. The next strategy, listening to other people's opinions with a light-hearted mindset, which means when friends and families are giving you advice or opinions about problems in your life, bro, receive them, listen to them, let go of what doesn't actually serve you, and sit and think about the ones that triggered you or something stuck with you. No one else should be guiding you or making you go a certain way in a certain problem, because it's your life. You get to decide what it is that you want for yourself, and that's the whole point of this video. I want you to be able to make decisions for yourself. I want you to navigate life and figure out your own path, and not do certain things just because someone else thinks it's cool or someone else is saying that, you know, this is what they did and help them. Like, partially that is what I'm doing in the video, but I also want you to think about this video critically and hear the advice that I'm giving, think about it, see how it fits in your life, and if it doesn't, then let it go. Bro, the whole, I think, yeah, the big thing here is just, it's so easy to fall into the expectations and judgments of friends and family, specifically because you're close to them, you feel like they know you, so it's gonna be like good advice. But the truth is that they're giving advice based on their experiences, which is all that they can do. But their life was probably very different than yours. So the same situations cannot be applied to yours. So you really have to sit with the thoughts that, or sit with the, let's say your friend or family member is giving you advice, listen to it, understand it, like try to ask them questions as to why they're saying certain things instead of being so focused on just fixing your problem. And then go back, sit with yourself, and then ask yourself, okay, like what can I take away from that conversation, and what is something that I don't want to take or hold on to. That's definitely one of the ways to make sure that you're making decisions for yourself based on information that you have and knowledge that you've got, but at the same time using your mind and listening to your inner self as to which way you want to go. Which also connects to the next point, is to make time for solitude, which means you have to spend some quality time with yourself. I do it on a daily basis, bro. And to be honest, I think when I started in 2018, I had to consciously like say no to things so I could make time for myself. If that's something that you don't do, or if you don't make time for yourself and just sitting with your own thoughts, or you think that's like super uncomfortable, which is perfectly fine, you know, I thought the same at first. But you have to be able to do that. You have to make time for solitude so you can listen to what it is that your inner self is truly trying to tell you. And you can't do that if you're constantly distracting yourself, if you're constantly doing something, if you're constantly on your phone, or if you're trying to always be around people. And then lastly, one of the biggest tips, no BS advice that you can do is pour your time into a new hobby or a new project. Why? Because it's going to give you something to dedicate time towards. So it will automatically make time for some sort of solitude or being with yourself in some way. But at the same time, it's going to give you a new skill. Like, it's going to give you a new learning. It's going to give you something that you can learn from and get better at. And it just brings a different kind of joy in your life. Like, seeing myself progress in the gym was something that I'm immensely proud of that, dude, because no one can ever take that away from me. So whenever you're dedicating time to hobbies or projects, especially like things that can have tangible outcomes, gym, working on some kind of writing piece, or working on some kind of art, literally anything, cooking, anything you can think of, any hobby or a project that you feel inclined to do, bro, this is your sign. Go fucking do it. Start today. One small step. Trust me, dude, all the answers you seek are within you already. you don't have to go out there to seek it. Like it's already in you, and the only thing that you need to do is tune out the external noise so you can tune in with your natural frequency and hear what your inner self is trying to tell you. Anyways, oh my god, we're like 20 minutes into this video. No, I'm not gonna cut it. Anyways, I'll post the full thing. And yo, if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so much for tuning in. Like this wasn't a short video, and if you made it this far, like this is your sign that something resonated with you and there's something that you want to work on or change. So do it, bro. Make it fucking happen. Let me know in the comments below if you do. But in the next video, I'll continue this one and start talking about how to actually start developing that connection with your inner self during that solitude time. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next one.